Hello and welcome to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. Hope everybody's having a great Friday afternoon out there. There's a lot to get to in this video, so let's get right to it. We got a tropical system here across the southern Gulf of Mexico moving towards Florida. We also have another investigation area here across portions of the east central Pacific here, or actually the east central Atlantic as we head here in the next few days. Has less than a 40% chance here of developing. We also are covering here several days still of some lower end severe weather across the middle of the country, and kind of looking ahead, we do have a heat wave that is going to be here affecting portions of the southern and southwestern United States as well. I'll cover that and much more here in this video. So let's get right to it here. We do have a system that is moving across the southern Gulf of Mexico. This is heading towards the southern and central portions of the Florida Peninsula here in the next couple of days, bringing some very heavy rainfall across those areas. We also do have another the National Hurricane Center is kind of investigating this area across the central Atlantic here with a less than 40% chance here of developing into a tropical storm or depression here in the next few days here as this pushes off to the east here through the middle of the open waters. Looking at the storm system across the southeastern, Gulf of Mexico, moving in toward the southwestern portion here of the Florida Keys and into the southwest Florida Peninsula here during the day today. A lot of deep convection kind of still over the open waters, just west and southwest here of the Key West area and the Florida Keys, and still some here, wraparound arcing bands here of some convection, some showers and thunderstorms moving up into south central Florida, bringing some tropical rainfall into those areas as well. This will continue to kind of move off to the north and east here across the Florida Peninsula as we head through the next couple of days. A lot of warm water still lingering across portions here of the Gulf, but especially on the Atlantic side. A lot of warm waters, especially as you get down towards, portions here of the Carolinas and then eastward here and towards the Bermuda area. A lot of, warm waters, anomalies that are very high for this time of year. So as this system kind of moves off to the east here of Florida, it'll start to strengthen very quickly with those warm ocean waters and sea surface temperatures here really warm across those areas. And we'll show you that here. This is the Europeans model run here of how the storm system is going to work out. It'll be right over south central Florida as a 999 millibar low here as we head into late tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening, bringing some very heavy tropical, downpours, some torrential rains across much of the Florida Peninsula, especially south central Florida into the Florida Keys. And then the system will start to push off to the east. And as it does so, as we head through Saturday evening into the overnight hours and through the morning hours on Sunday, this will rapidly deepen to a 986 millibar low pressure system right off the Carolina coast here. So maybe some rip current risks, maybe some onshore flow across these areas here across the Carolinas. So do want to be mindful of that. Some very, a very robust system starting to develop. And then this will kind of meander off into portions here of the open waters of the Atlantic and push to the east as we head toward Monday afternoon, and starting to slowly weaken here as it does so to a 989 millibar low as it does so peels farther off to the east here from the United States. But just in general, Florida, south central Florida can be expecting here several inches of rainfall, especially as you get down here towards Miami Beach, getting over toward the Florida Keys. And then a couple inches of rainfall as you get up here towards the Tampa area, Orlando, and then getting over toward the Daytona Beach area here as well. Fort Myers, Naples, all those areas can be expecting several inches of rainfall with the system. The heaviest rain, however, by far across the Miami Beach area, and that is where they do have that moderate risk. The Weather Prediction Center has put out the moderate risk of flash flooding as we head through the day today, and this is including Miami Beach down toward the Key West area, and then you have that slight risk of flash flooding up toward the Naples and Fort Myers area. And then north of there, a kind of a marginal risk of flash flooding here from Orlando, the Universal Studios type of area, getting back over towards Tampa Bay, and then inching its way to the north here into portions of northern Florida here as well. And that is going through the day today. So some pretty concerning, type of setup for some flash flooding across south central Florida. They do need the rainfall, but this is going to come very heavily here as we head into, today. And then as we head into day two, you can see right here a slight risk of some flash flooding across south central Florida, marginal risk extending up toward the Orlando area. As you head into today, kind of a bigger picture look at this, you can see a slight risk of flash flooding across south central Florida, marginal across, central and northern Florida. Also some marginal flash flooding potential across portions of west central Montana into northern Idaho, and then across the Pacific Northwest here into western Oregon and northwestern California here with some continued mid-level disturbances that'll be pushing in here from the Pacific with that zonal flow across the northwest United States. But generally here, as we move forward here, like I said, all that tropical weather staying off here across portions of Florida into the southeast. We do have some frontal systems. Very messy picture here on the weather maps here. You can see a lot of frontal boundaries across this area. We got a lot of stationary boundaries across here. The Pacific Northwest through the Intermountain West into the northern plains. Another boundary and system moving through with a disturbance across the western plains into portions here of the Front Range of the Rockies. And this will be the mechanism for some severe weather as we head through the day today. We do have a slight risk of severe weather from the Front Range of the Rockies, from portions of far western Nebraska into eastern Colorado, getting down into eastern New Mexico and western Texas, especially the West Texas Panhandle. This does include Lubbock, down toward Midland, and then getting over here towards portions here of the Denver area, maybe just east of there, and then here into portions of eastern Colorado. Also a slight risk of severe weather across southern North Carolina into northern South Carolina as well, with a marginal risk extending into eastern Georgia, and then that slight risk of some severe weather, mainly tornado and landspout type of severe weather across far southern Florida into the Florida Keys as we head through the day today. And that is where they do have that 5% tornado risk zone from Miami Beach down towards portions there of the Florida Keys as well. And then a 2% risk of tornadoes this afternoon across eastern New Mexico into the western Texas Panhandle, like I said, including portions here of Lubbock down toward Midland and then into portions of eastern New Mexico as well. Also that wind risk here kind of following along here with that, the slight risk zones across the southeast and into the western plains. But then we do have a 15% hatched hail risk across portions of eastern New Mexico, far western Texas Panhandle here. We could have 2-inch or larger size hailstones with some of the stronger storms as we head through late this afternoon and into this evening. And I'll show you that here. The composite reflectivity showing some pretty nasty storms getting together across portions here of eastern Colorado down into eastern New Mexico. Maybe a couple storms near the Dallas-Fort Worth area here worth watching. Those near the Dallas-Fort Worth area not expected to be severe, but maybe some stronger type of storms, some smaller hail, locally heavy downpours, some occasional cloud to ground lightning across those areas. And then kind of an arcing band of some broken storms here across all the way up here into the Pacific Northwest, with a continued training of that very, active northwest flow pattern here, with a lot of disturbances in the mid-levels pushing through. And then, like I said, across the southeast as well, some more severe weather as we head through the Carolinas into eastern Georgia, and then those tropical rains continuing here across south central Florida as well. These storms will start to kind of maybe bow out, maybe start to cluster up a little bit into western portions of Kansas, into portions of the Oklahoma and Texas panhandles here as we head through the late afternoon, and especially the early evening here as we have a little bit of a low-level jet pushing up in this area. And then with that stationary boundary up toward the north here into South Dakota, portions of Nebraska, into northwest Iowa, maybe some elevated type of hail type of storms. Nothing to be severe here about, but maybe some garden variety type showers and storms across those areas. So locally heavy rain, maybe some very small, pea-sized hail, and here, maybe some 30 to 40 mile per hour wind gusts here as well with that. And then continued, tropical system into South Florida, seeing a lot of rainfall down there, and that'll just be continuing into the evening and overnight hours as we head into today. Then as we head into our Saturday, the frontal boundaries will continue to push to the east. A lot of messiness here across the Pacific Northwest into the Central Plains, with a lot of, northwest flow pattern. We got a dry line extending down here into eastern New Mexico with a lot of drier air, high pressure building in behind that here as we head into our Saturday. But we do have a little bit of a moisture return in the low levels, getting all the way up into the northern and central plains, down through portions of Oklahoma into Texas. Dew points rising the mid and upper 60s across these areas. Very pronounced dry line across the western Texas panhandle and Oklahoma panhandles, and with dew points dropping down to the teens and single digits across New Mexico. Probably some fire weather concerns across those areas. And then you have some dew points rising to the 50s across the Pacific Northwest, so you can be expecting some more rainfall up there as well. But in general, across the middle of the country, that's the main area concern, as we have instability or convective available potential energy rising into portions of Kansas, western Oklahoma, into northwest Texas here, and then kind of up into portions of Nebraska on the order of 1,500 to up to 3,000 plus joules per kilogram, so more than enough for some organized storms. Also some wind shear kind of overlapping However, the deep layer shear here, kind of in the mid-levels and the upper levels of the atmosphere, going to support some semi-organized storms, but nothing too organized here, nothing, no derechos or anything like that, but still some organized, maybe some isolated to scattered severe weather across these areas as we head into late tomorrow afternoon. And that is exactly where the Storm Prediction Center's Day 2 outlook does show a marginal risk of severe weather from much of portions of Nebraska, far western Iowa near the Omaha area, into portions of far southwest Iowa, far northwest Missouri, through much of Kansas and Oklahoma, getting down toward the Red River there. A continued marginal risk across South Florida here with that tornado risk here tomorrow, with that 2% tornado risk around Miami Beach, getting down toward the Florida Keys, and then up toward the Fort Myers, Naples area, Daytona Beach. Very small 2% risk of a tornado here across portions of south central Nebraska, kind of closer to where that low-level lift and spin will kind of be, with that mid-level disturbance moving across these areas. So kind of looking at the composite reflectivity late tomorrow, mid to late afternoon, some elevated storms across eastern portions of Kansas, maybe a couple hailstones with those storms, and maybe some localized gusty winds. But the main event will be here as we head into the evening hours here, where we have some storms firing up across Nebraska, getting into western Kansas, northeastern Colorado, southwestern Nebraska there as well. And then these will kind of move from northwest to southeast very slowly as we head through the evening hours, and maybe kind of developing into a semi-organized kind of MCS or mesoscale convective system, and then kind of propagating its way to the from the northwest to the south and east as we head into the better instability axis as we head into the evening hours tomorrow. And that will kind of continue into the overnight hours. And then as we head into Sunday, another day worth of, marginal risk for severe weather, southern portions of Nebraska, much of Kansas, northeastern Oklahoma, southwestern Missouri, into northwestern Arkansas. This does include the Topeka area, Wichita, and then getting down toward the Joplin, Missouri area, just down toward the Tulsa, Oklahoma area, and then around here, the Fort Smith area, getting towards Little Rock here with time as well as we head into our Sunday. But generally looking longer range, this is the next 6 to 10 days temperature outlook the Climate Prediction Center has shown. This is valid from June 9th through June 13th, and you can continue to see where the active pattern will be setting up, with below normal temperatures favored across much of the middle Mississippi and upper Mississippi valleys here into the Great Lakes region. We have another ridge starting to really establish itself here across portions of California, Nevada, into the Four Corners, and this will be the next big story, as a heat wave will really start to take hold across the southwest portions here of the United States, and kind of inching its way over toward Texas here with time as we head toward the middle of June. So I do want to make you aware of that. And underneath that ridge, a lot of below normal precipitation can be expected, with an active pattern really setting up from the northeast down through the Ohio and Tennessee River valleys, and then getting back here into portions of the mid-south as well, with some above normal precipitation favor as well, and slightly above normal precipitation favor across the portions of the Washington state as we head through the next 6 to 10 days. And then even further, 8 to 14 day temperature outlook here from the Climate Prediction Center. From here, kind of the second week there in June, from the June 11th through almost the Father's Day period here through June 17th, here in the opening stages of Father's Day weekend. Continued here, you can see below normal temperatures can be expected across the Great Lakes, back through the Midwest, the Northern Plains, with that here ridge continuing across the Southwest, with that heat wave continuing in full blast across portions of California, Nevada, and getting into the Four Corners, and kind of inching its way over towards Texas and the Southeast here as well with time. And that again, under that ridge, a lot of below normal precipitation can be expected here. As we have a hot, high pressure system, you have a lot of sinking air, so not a lot of air that wants to rise. And if you have air that rises, like on the East Coast here, from the Northeast through the Ohio Valley, the Tennessee Valley, and much of the Southeast, that's where you have the upward motion, you have a lot of lift, and that's where you get some above normal precipitation here across those areas, and then near normal precipitation across, the northern plains, the central plains, and down through Texas here through June 17th. And then this is more experimental from the Climate Prediction Center, kind of an experimental outlook, but this is kind of still valid through the Father's Day weekend here, June 18th, and then the opening day or so of July. And you can definitely be seeing here some above normal temperatures across much of the Four Corners, through much of the southern half of the United States, and kind of inching its way to the north here as well, toward the Ohio Valley, the Midwest, and then below normal here temperature-wise up into the Pacific Northwest. A lot of active weather still continuing across those areas here as well. And that will favor below normal precipitation, kind of centered on the Tennessee Valley, the lower Ohio Valley, with kind of an active pattern setting up here across the northern plains, the Pacific Northwest, and then kind of down here, the monsoon season might start to get here going across portions of southeastern Arizona, southern New Mexico, and maybe some precipitation extending over into southern and southwestern Texas here as well toward the Father's Day weekend into portions of June, the opening days here of July. But generally, this is the U.S. Drought Mitigation Center, U.S. Drought Monitor here. This was released yesterday, and you can see some improvement of some drought across portions here of the Midwest, here around, the Great Lakes into the eastern half of the United States. Some ongoing drought conditions across portions of the Carolinas down into Georgia here. That may kind of be disappearing with time as we have a lot of that tropical rainfall continuing maybe in some of those areas. But then as we head to the desert Southwest and most of the western United States, and really centered on New Mexico into West Texas, we do have a very significant drought continuing here, with extreme and exceptional drought continuing across these areas near the Lubbock area, getting back toward the Albuquerque area, and really much of the Southwest. And this heat wave will be feeding off of that drought, and that's why you're going to have triple-digit temperatures expected across these areas. So as we head into early next week, this is around Monday, June 6th, into early next week, a lot of 100-degree temperatures expected across Texas, back toward the Phoenix area, into Southern California with that heat wave, and that'll only start to expand and intensify as we head into the middle of next week towards Tuesday and Wednesday, with triple digits being the norm across Texas, into portions of Arizona, Nevada around the Las Vegas area, and then getting down here into portions of southern and central California. Even some heat extending down here into the Carolinas and the deep south into Florida, where you have temperatures in the mid 90s here regularly from portions of Arkansas down through Louisiana and Mississippi, Alabama, much of the Carolinas, Georgia, and into those areas here as well. And that, like I said, will continue even into late next week here, going through June 9th across these areas, with daily highs in the hundreds, maybe some triple digits here across portions of New Mexico, and then 111 is the forecast high down towards portions there of the intersection of California and Arizona. So some very, very hot temperatures expected across those areas. But just in general, the next 7 days, you can expect a lot of active weather across the central and northern plains through the upper Midwest here in the Missouri Valley. It's kind of where you're going to see most of the showers and storms, maybe some severe, some lower end severe weather mixed in there. Continued active pattern across the Pacific Northwest here as well, into the the northern Rockies region. And then you got all that precipitation with that tropical system across south central Florida, and then kind of getting off here into portions here of the the Atlantic area as we head into early to middle of next week. Maybe some well-needed precipitation across the eastern Carolinas with the ongoing severe drought across those areas, the moderate and severe drought into the eastern Carolinas. Maybe some well-needed rainfall there as we head through the the late portion here of next week. You can also give me a follow on Twitter at hweather420 here. Weather420 at Twitter, so please give me a follow there. I'm going to have nice weather-related content here daily on there, starting to kind of have a Twitter account where I'm kind of going to be posting photos of weather stuff and kind of more, weather data on there here that will be very helpful for you. And also be sure to like my video, give me a nice thumbs up. Leave any comments, questions below. I'll be able to answer those. And remember to subscribe to my channel here as well on YouTube, where I could give you daily weather forecasts here and some long-range forecasts here moving through the next few weeks and through the summer months. So thank you very much for watching, everybody, and I hope everybody has a great weekend out there.